Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
The day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome back to Saturday Night Drive-In, where we take a time out of our day to talk movies. Because guess what? Movies are great. Right, Jed?
Movies are great. Is that my intro?
Yes!
Okay, geez. Your intros are getting shorter and shorter, but yes, movies are great. And action movies of the 80s and 90s are some of my favorite. And this is definitely going to be a good discussion, I think. So yeah. I'm excited to talk about fun movies.
Yes, because one thing can definitely be said, despite whatever weaknesses the Total Recall has, and it does have some weaknesses. Let's not mince words here. It is classic 80s, literally 1990 action movie. This is near peak Schwarzenegger. He has been doing this for a decade at this point almost. He knows exactly what to do. One-liners, they are... You should be going, no, but you go, yes. And this has a couple of my favorite of all time. Two of them, I love, "See the party, Richter." I love that one. And then, "Benny, screw you." I love them.
Definitely heard a lot of the one-liners just out and about.
Consider that a divorce. Listen, he was the king of the action one-liners. He was. Mm-hmm. He was, and they exist in the zeitgeist. They continue, they persist, and we laugh at them, and they're fun, and they're that perfect kind of campy cringe. So this is great. So we're going to talk Total Recall, the 1990 version. We don't talk about that other one that came out. Everybody pretends it didn't exist. What we do here now is we have fun doing this. So here we are. Hail and howdy, everybody. We hope you're having a good Saturday evening. Hit those like buttons. Buckle up. We're going to Mars. Okay, Jed, this was your first time watching it. This is my umpteenth millionth time watching this movie. How you feeling as we start this?
I feel all right about this movie. Like I said in the preface, this is an enjoyable film. It's very fun. It's everything you'd expect from an Arnold movie. I knew a little bit about the plot. I knew that Mars was involved somehow and that not everything was real. So I came up with a an idea. I came into it with an idea of what was going to happen, and it delivered on everything I expected. The one-liners, like you keep talking about, the action was absolutely what I'd expected to be. The thing that surprised me, that is my biggest takeaway from the film, and the thing I loved most, is the practical effects.
Oh, I knew it.
A lot of these practical effects were incredible. The world building was decent. I really like the look and feel of the Earth and Mars sets that we've got, and just the bulging eyeballs, the body horror was something that I didn't think was going to be in this film at all. So the body horror really surprised me in a pleasant way. Even the weird android head that he wears of the lady while going through customs at Mars, you can tell when, you know, Arnold's head was fake or not. Like when he takes it off, it's clearly a fake Arnold head. But for the 90s, I was blown away with the practical effects, and those will definitely influence my score on this film, because the plot doesn't do so much to help this film. Arnold and the practical effects carry it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing. So you zeroed writing on something I had a feeling you want to talk about. This movie, at 1990, was a benchmark for practical effects. Like, look where we're advancing to now. And everybody, whenever there was clip effects like that, or clip shows about special effects, this movie was included 20, 30 years ago, because it really took it to another level. Like you said, the body horror you don't expect. You get it right away with the opening dream sequence of him maybe being Hauser, maybe not, falling down the mountain and breaking his breathing helmet, and that happening. And this is the way it used to be. They'd put time, to put effort to want you to feel like it's real. Because even though, like you said, that famous one where he takes off the fake head and he's looking, that's totally not him. But you still were okay with it because they worked at it. They made the effort. And then it's a quick cut, catch, and I'll get ready for a surprise. And it just works so well. And like you said, you combine that with what this was, a pure action movie. The plot isn't deep. It's not deep at all. But
it's an interesting concept. Like the idea of Total Recall, the company that he goes to implant these vacation memories. That's a great idea, and I'd love that to be explored in a TV show in the style of Ready Player One, like a Ready Player One TV show with Total Recall as the subject matter. I'd be fascinated by this. So the interesting ideas and the world building of this universe definitely had me hooked and intrigued in what was going on.
They do just enough to make the world feel like, because we know that Earth is at war, the Northern Bloc and the Southern Bloc, and the Northern Bloc has colonized Mars, and they use Cohagen, I think his right, Cohagen, I always get his name wrong, as basically their mini dictator up there to send supplies, to send the raw materials they need to continue the war effort. That's all you need to know. And then
there's the resource, the tritium, I think they call it, is a central aspect of their energy systems, how they power everything. So you buy the essentialness of Mars. Like, it's not just, we have a fun colony, which is already justification enough in my mind, because I love the idea of colonizing Mars, but they made it an integral part of supply lines and war effort. And so, they justify why this is a central key location in this universe with this war going on. And they hint at more. They keep mentioning at the beginning of the film that Quaid should go to Saturn. Everyone kept saying, hey, you actually want to go to Saturn, right, instead of Mars. So it hints that the rest of the solar system is being colonized as well, which I'd love more about that, but it gives you just enough so you know it's not just Earth and Mars. There's more out there that just might not be as important.
Yeah, and so it's a world, it feels alive, feels lived in, and it brings it home even more. We go back to, I want to keep talking about the practical effects. You go to Mars, the mutant makeup.
They're incredible.
It's great, isn't it? It's just fantastic.
Especially the one coming out of the rebel leader's stomach. That
Guado
is done so well, so creepily, and then the voice doesn't match at all. Not what you'd expect. I mean, like the lip syncing works. It's just not the type of voice you expect to come out of.
The tone.
Yeah, the tone. It's way more refined. You expect it to be like, kind of like that, but it's
open your mind.
It's an oracle.
Yeah.
And that really sells why it can like see into his mind. It creates that aura of mysticism. So the voice and the body worked so well together.
And they don't really work at all telling us, okay, they mutated and they get psychic abilities. We just got to buy it. It's just like,
It's
okay,
an established thing that radiation can give people enhanced abilities, and that's something that I have to accept, even though there's not a scientific foundation for that idea. It's so prevalent in the science fiction genre that it's acceptable. Solar radiation, they were mentioning in the cheaper domes, solar
air
radiation can get
leaks,
through.
and the contamination. Yeah, so
You
I
can buy it.
buy it, and it works. And then they work so hard to sell you the plight of the muties and all that kind of stuff, and you see how they look, and it just works. And I love the way it looks, and I love the way it feels, and you don't get tired of this thing. You look at this, and we go back to the word suspension of disbelief. You look at this, and because those are practical effects, they're real to us. We're watching it. It's not a CGI monstrosity that somebody hasn't had dots all over their face, and it's just CGI'd on there to match with their facial movements.
I think more people than realize can tell the difference between practical and CGI. Some people might say, oh, I don't care if it's CGI or real. It looks exactly the same. I think innately most human beings can tell the difference between what was filmed and what was generated. And this really shows the difference. I feel way more attached to the mutants in this than I would in a modern film where it's just bulbous things created in post. You feel the body horror. And that's a word I want to harp on a lot. I love body horror stuff from the 70s through 90s. They really knew how to sell their practical effects to make you feel viscerally disgusted, but pity the person involved at the same time. And you really get that with the mutants here that you're never going to get with CGI. As much as people say Avatar is beautiful, I'm going to keep saying that movie, both of them, are soulless, empty shells.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a great tech demo. I agree. The first Avatar film is a great tech demo, but there's no soul.
If it's a video game, great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it. But I don't want to watch. If I'm going to watch something artificial on the screen, I'll watch anime. At least I'm getting something beautiful that I realize is fake and they're going out of the way. If it's CGI mixed with humans, I don't buy it anymore. My eye for the uncanny valley is so wide, and the entertainment is sucked out just a little bit for me most of the time. I granted, with CGI, with current day special effects, they can do so much more, creates just bigger, broader worlds, but they
abuse it,
and it's incomplete. It feels incomplete, and maybe we're never going to go back. The problem is they're never going to go back, because here's the problem.
Just a balance. That's all we want, is a balance to feel natural. And as much as this example pains both of us to bring up, I do believe part of the phenomena that is Baby Yoda is because it's a practical puppet. All these girls and women who are in love with Baby Yoda, they see that and they're like, oh, it's a physical thing. I could actually meet this thing and cuddle with this thing and do all their gooey stuff to it. They feel that realness that you're not going to get from a CGI monstrosity. Like the Porgs in Last Jedi were supposed to be the same thing. It's a cute little toy thing. How many of those sold?
No.
None, because you couldn't get attached to them. But Baby Yoda, as soon as it's a physical doll, it starts selling.
Am I allowed to destroy the one we're going to buy me after it's all said and done?
After it's all said and done, yes.
Okay, we'll make a video on that. It's gonna suffer. We're gonna burn it with fire, because that's what that little bastard deserves. Kill it with fire. That's a whole nother subject matter for a different stream. You brought it up though, and that just got pushed to the forefront of my mind. Oh, it's good.
I knew that would trigger both of us a little bit, but I feel like it is a good current day relevant example.
It is. It's a good example. Objectively, it's a good example. And I don't think we're ever going to fully go back, because also the problem is, I think the art of the makeup artist, the special effect artist, I think it's getting lost with every passing year. There are good ones still out there. There are small studios who do it. There was a show on Sci-Fi Channel. What was it called? I forget what it's called. It was especially a special effects makeup artist show, and it went for a lot of seasons. And those early seasons were incredible because super talented people who hadn't been discovered yet were getting a chance to display their ability, and they were getting scooped up by these other by the companies who were involved with the show. And amazing to watch true masters of practical effects go to work. Problem is, as the seasons went on, they were scraping the bottom of the barrel too many times, and they got less and less impressive because these people who had been one of the early shows, they need to go on and have many years and train new people. And the people left over as the seasons went on were just not the quality. So the best of the best had already been seen and moving on to train. And then they still have to train a whole nother generation. And I don't know if they're even doing that now. That's a fear of mine. I wonder if those people maybe be the last great physical makeup, practical effects masters. And if it'll go
They don't
away.
really teach it at film school as much anymore. And I think another part of the practical effects art form that is entirely gone, even more so than the makeup aspect, is puppetry.
Oh, Henson magic.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. That's as much as I haven't finished Farscape, I kind of lost interest in the plot and everything like that. I never lost interest in the practical effects of the puppetry and the makeup. It was always beautiful, and it made me invested in those characters. That art is gone.
Yeah. And it's partially important because Brian Henson really has squandered his father's legacy. He hasn't really innovated. Jim Henson was a genius. He was a genius, and he nurtured genius with Henson Company, with the Henson House. And his son really didn't. They tried another spinoff show like the one I just told you about, and it didn't really go anywhere because he didn't know how to run it. He's not running his company as well. So you go back. We're never going to watch it because it is too much of a kiddie movie. But you look at The Dark Crystal, and that is a masterclass of Henson magic. With puppetry, the entire movie is puppetry, or people in full costume. There is no humans in that movie, and it's very simple. It's a kids movie. It's only on my shelf out of nostalgia because I worshipped that movie when I was a little kid. Worshipped it, but that is a masterpiece of puppet art, is what it is, and that's why the Skeksis are magnificent. Hold them up there as just pure art. But back to the movie at hand. That was a good tangent. I like that tangent. It wasn't a bad tangent.
It's a relevant tangent.
Yeah. But just to back up. So this is why Total Recall remains a standout, enjoyable movie, because the practical effects work every time and enjoyable. And you add on the action. You mentioned it. The action of this movie, it's top notch. Breaking windows, running through things, giant machines, battle damage, people getting shot everywhere, fist fights, and here's the thing: the fights are believable. Is that fair to say? Like Quaid versus Richter on the elevator. That's a good, solid little mini fight on the elevator. Of course, it ends in glorious action movie fashion, where he gets caught and he rips his arms off. Like no, boo, see you at the party, Richter. It's glorious, but it's still believable. Because they knew how to do it. They had the right choreography masters. I can speak. They had the right choreography masters. They had Arnold, who knew what he was doing. You have a talented professional bad guy like Michael Ironside, because that was his shtick. Play the asshole, play the bad guy, and he did it so well. And everybody knows their role, and they happily did and had a good time doing it. You could feel the energy. It's fun. It's exciting, and I love it. Action, they don't make these movies anymore. Now it's too much kung fu and flying around, and
so much sped up footage to make the actors look more competent than they are.
Or you give the women too much. Melina wasn't overdone. And when Sharon Stone was doing her stuff, it was believable because she was fighting like an acrobatic woman would fight, not trying to go toe to toe with Arnold.
Which is not a fight that a modern movie could portray, because he decked her a few times. Like when he knocked her out early on in the film. You're not seeing that in a modern movie.
Yeah. Knocked her the fuck out. And it was great. It's believable. Or the believable stuff, like one of my favorite moments, just in terms of raw action grittiness, is when he goes to recall. And this is where the movie schisms, where you don't know what's going on. So let's lead up to this. We might as well get into the movie. So essentially, we start the movie off. We get the world build briefly, and then you get introduced to Doug Quaid, who just seems to be a construction worker who was moved to the city with his wife, played by Sharon Stone. Her name I don't remember. And he seems discontent with his life. He wants more out of it. I deserve more. He has an obsession with Mars. He keeps having dreams about being on Mars, dreams about a brunette, athletic woman, and his wife isn't happy about that, and she's like, "Can we just stay here and not talk about Mars?" And he's obsessed with it. So, and even at work, he's bugging his buddy. What about this recall thing? Can I go there and get a Mars vacation on brain? No, you're gonna get brain effed. You're not gonna have a. You're gonna what's the word? I just lobotomized. I remember lobotomized. You're gonna get lobotomized. It's gonna be bad. And Doug doesn't listen to anybody. He ends up going to recall, where he gets convinced to get the full Mars package, the spy adventure. And they're going to put him under. And let's just stop right there for a second. All right. Up until this point, everything that plays out from the point of inception, the groundwork is laid for everything to make it feel like it might be fake. It might be the dream, because you hear about the news about possible things going on Mars. You get Cohagen over there. You learn about they mention the word crooked cabbie, crooked taxi man, get the girl, save the world, alien artifacts, and that. He's already dreaming about Melina, and then they make her on the face as the face on the screen. So every little bit of the movie that plays out before the inception, the seeds were planted for the dream. And that's why we question, is it the dream or is it not? So I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to ask the question yet, because I kind of want to get a little farther in. But at this moment,
I
right
would
now,
save the big question for the very end.
Okay, yeah, let's save that. So he gets Inception. Problem is, the salesman is trying to sell it to another chick, and then suddenly the screen cuts, and it seems that he's rejecting the Inception. And you go into the room there, and he's having a schizoid
embolism.
Embolism. Yeah, I wanted to say embolism, but that's not right. That's not a word.
He's having a psychotic break.
Yeah. So he is freaking out. They're going to come and kill you. You broke my cover, this and that. And there's that one moment, though, that I love in that moment in terms of raw action, raw power, is when Arnold just grabs that dude by the throat, like full muscle arm, and it's just sort of like, and just sort of lifting him. It's like, whoa, okay. He's like full rage monster here, and that's where I'm gripped right now. And then they're going to dump him on the street, and everything begins. Now, prior to this, I want to introduce 2 points just for the later conversation. Before this, to the evidence of it is real versus it's not real. Just putting this on the record. And I want to know if you think these are legitimate points, just to whether we're going to keep them on the list or not. After Doug Quaid leaves his apartment, Sharon Stone has not a look of sadness, but a look of wariness on her face. Like, what am I doing here? And then after his construction buddy says, don't go to recall, and tries to get him off it, he's looking at him warily. So those are like 2 points of evidence for this is really happening. But there's not much really other than that to make it evidence that it's really happening, other than kind of flimsy things that I've accumulated as my excuses over the years for the it's real defense. So let's get forward. So from this point forward, standard action movie. It goes standard action from the point forward. Doug gets attacked. His wife turns out to be an agent. She tries to kill him.
Just briefly, when we're talking about this part, I want to talk about the fight scene where his construction buddy and a few of the other goons attack him. And it's the first time that he realizes, wow, I have these skills. The muscle memory kicks in, basically, and he's able to kill these 5 dudes. Yeah. That scene, I actually really like, because the combat isn't very refined. Like, it feels clunky. It feels more like brute strength than anything else. It's choreographed in such a way that the body it feels like Arnold's body's moving without his brain, and his brain is just constantly trying to keep up. So that makes him a little sluggish. He has great reactions to what the hell did I just do there? And it's a lot of show don't tell and environmental storytelling about him coming to trust his body and let his body do what it needs to do to take out these guys. And then he has that moment where he's just blood covering his hands, blood everywhere. A little more blood than you'd believe is just everywhere. And he's just sitting with that for a moment. And I wish that would have gone a little bit more. I get that the original personality, if this is all real, would be very accustomed to this type of violence, so his body would not get nauseous or anything like that. But the psychological impact of feeling like an everyday person and suddenly being capable of that, we get a glimpse of that in this scene, and I wanted more of it. It's just this clash between the physical form and the implanted identity.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because I was going to mention that. There's an excellent pickup that Doug goes from I can't do this to Superman action hero. And it makes sense because, like you said, perfectly said, the Hauser personality had a trained body, and therefore it's going to kick in, and he gets more and more used to it as movie goes on. But still, it's still not high intensity wah kung fu flipping. It's more just kind of raw fighting power in the end. Now with the firearms, it's like hip shooting, not looking. That's Arnold shit. He's always going to do that stuff. But they make it work. But you believe that he is that much of a badass. But you're right. So you start with that, and the action and the violence only escalates the more the movie goes on, which is what you expect. It starts light, or as light as that is, and it goes on and on and on. And as you said, that brilliant moment when Sharon Stone is trying to take him out in the beginning, or at least knock him out so that they can restart all over again. He knocks her the fuck out. And you can't, this is truly a lost part of the cinema, the movie making, where you show 6'3", 6'4" Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to lay out 5'5", 6" Sharon Stone. It's going to happen if she tries to fight him. And it worked.
And the only reason she lasts as long in the fight up to that point as she does is he has these feelings, implanted feelings, at least as we're told, but he has these feelings. He doesn't want to hurt her. He keeps trying to talk to her. It's like, hey, what is going on? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? But as soon as he makes the decision, I can't trust her. This is over. I need to go. One hit and she's down.
Yeah. I've been using this phrase a lot tonight, but I keep coming back to it. It works. And it doesn't break our disbelief. He would knock her the fuck out. She'd be knocked out until Richter comes along and wakes her up. And I enjoy the realism of it, because she's not a superhuman. She's an assassin is what she is. And we saw her use her tools: seduction, knives, attacking from the shadows when she first starts that fight. I mean, when she fights Melina later on during the attempted drugging to like break we're gonna break you out of it, using the doctor who had been in the commercials on the subway, which again, is it real? Is it not? Because he was implanted as a thought early in the movie.
Which I don't know if we're going to talk about that scene in more detail later, but I love how they just let Arnold notice the bead of sweat.
Yeah.
And he acts. They don't have him say, hey, if you're fake, why are you sweating? They trusted the audience to realize what sweat meant in that instance.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it, because that's the scene right there where it's going one last time, asking us real or fake. And we, the audience, I think, are deciding at that point, is this real or is it fake? But in that fight as well, Sharon Stone versus Melina, great chick fight. But for Melina's just a brawler. But as I said, Sharon Stone's character, she's a trained assassin, and she beats the shit out of her, and she's got freaking knives all over her body. But all right, so now at this point, Doug's gonna get he gets the Hauser helpful kit, and we get some more great practical effects. The pulling of the bug out of the nose, doing that. It's more body horror. It's it's so good.
I think the size of the tracker was a little bit much. I don't think there's room for that in his skull.
Well, no, that wasn't the tracker. No, that's the ball. The tracker was the tiny little chip in it.
Right, but the ball wasn't put there by the device. The ball was encasing the tracker.
Yeah, that's
what the ball was still in his skull.
Pulling it out, it's a little unbelievable, but they wanted the body horror. They wanted to show off the practical effects, and that's why I let it go. That's one of those few things. Like I have a little trouble believing that he pulled that thing out of his head without passing out. Oh my God. So and he gets the whole kit, and I love it how setup and payoff. He gets the holographic watch, which is not going to come into play until the very end of the movie. Save that for the end. And then he's on his way to Mars, and he gets to Mars, and Richter, it's the chain of events of Richter chasing him down, trying to kill him. We get introduced to everybody else, the mutants, Melina. We learn a little bit about Hauser from Melina. And like I said, there's no point in going blow by blow with this because it's your standard action movie. The adventure continues, escalates. You meet Benny, who's supposed to be their silly buddy, but turns out to be a plant because he's a mutant, but he's going to turn. I got 5 kids to feed. I got 4 kids to feed. What happened to the 5th one? Oh, well, I don't got no kids.
There was some great stuff with him. I think if he'd been in the movie anymore, though, and without a villain twist, he would have started to get on my nerves. Though. His style of humor is funny in small doses, and I think they hit it just the right amount. One more scene, and I would have been pissed off.
And I love it that Benny gets his. He gets his. Hey, Quaid, did you miss me? In the giant. Oh, I want to call it a dildozer, like from when we were watching that, because there's those mining machines. Just look like giant twisting dicks. Anyway, listen, I'm broken from last night. We did some weird shit on ball lusters.
What's new?
I made Dermy sing at $20 a pop. It was funny, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it again every once a month. It got a little weird. We got to refine it, but he sang some very strange things. Thanks to X-Wing, the first song X-Wing gave him to sing was just.
What was it?
It involved. I can't really say it. It was graphic and very descriptive of what a woman is letting a man do to her. And let's just say the word "bussy" was involved. And it's a clip. It's already been clipped. It's been put out there. I'll talk about later. It was all my idea too. I came up with the whole thing, and it worked beautifully until the end. It kind of fell apart at the end, but these refinement anyway. But Benny gets his just desserts, and I love that he uses a drill to drill through it. It's gruesomely fun. And so the whole thing, though, here's the thing. Bottom line story. How do I want to put this? If it's real, Cohagen found an alien factory, a machine within the mountains around the city. And the belief is if it's activated, it'll turn the core of Mars, which is ice. I don't know if that's real. You would know more.
No, it's not. No.
Points lost.
It has a similar core to Earth that's much smaller and much more inactive. They have a very weak magnetic field, which is one of the bigger things that we need to worry about when terraforming Mars. Yes, the atmosphere and oxygenating it is an important step, but without a strong magnetic field, the atmosphere is going to be stripped away by solar winds. Solar radiation is going to kill
We're going to talk
everyone.
about that at the very end. The whole finale. That's where I lose. I take points off this movie because they really go hard sci-fi while trying at times to mix with real sci-fi, or believable sci-fi. So we'll get to there. So the whole thing is that Cohagen has the factory. People want to bring more. People want to turn it on, but he doesn't want to. He actually believes the one thing. Cohagen is a bastard. He gives a great speech, played by Ronnie Cox. The great Ronnie Cox played villains to Senator Kinsey, for those who may know Stargate. Senator
I knew
Kinsey.
I recognized him. Yeah. Thank you for saying
Kinsey.
that. I wasn't sure who
you
it
didn't
was.
know. Oh, yeah, that's Kinsey. Yeah. So now it's like, oh, yeah, you're an asshole. You know now you know where he got asshole. So Ronnie Cox knows how to play asshole. Only time he ever played a hero was when he played the captain in Beverly Hills Cop. That's the only time he's a hero. Other than that, asshole. Every role. And he does it well. Anyway, so Cohagen actually believes that it will destroy the planet. But at the same time, he gives a great speech to Michael Ironside's Richter when he says, you know what I like? I like this job. Because as long as the Northern Bloc needs materials, they let me do whatever I want up here. He's basically the king of his fief. fiefdom, and he can do whatever he wants. But he also does believe that if he turns the engine on, because in that panic moment at the end there, you'll kill us all, he thinks it's going to destroy the planet. He does. So it's an interesting little twist to his character. He's evil, but he doesn't want to turn the machine on, not because he's for an evil intention. He thinks it will destroy the planet. So it's an actually this nice little twist there. But you got Cohagen doesn't want to turn it on, but the mutant rebels do want to turn it on, try and save the planet. And the whole thing is that Hauser supposedly turned on Cohagen and joined with Melina to get to help the resistance, but they caught on to him, so he had to recall himself and get to disappear. The truth is, they used Hauser to turn him into a mole so that the psychics of the mutants couldn't sniff him out, because Quaid and Hauser are literally two different personalities. They're two different people. And it's all about getting to the mutants and getting to the machine and turning it on, or the hunt for Quado to stop the resistance. And it all leads to giant action set pieces and guns firing and one-liners. And it's glorious in its action-y stuff. And then they turn it on. But in between that, there are some great moments. And let's go to the moment that you want to talk about. One point, they catch up to Quaid and Melina in a hotel. And it's the doctor who had been the spokesman for Recall. Doug, can I come in? I'm going to talk to you. I've been inserted into your dream to talk you down because you're having a schizoid embolism. You're breaking down. You're having a psychotic break. You need to essentially take the blue pill. You need to take the blue pill, and you need to come back. Or red pill, whatever, whichever way you want to do it. And they bring in the supposed facsimile of Sharon Stone, this and that, and so you really like this scene. So why don't we? What you like to beat us up? You like the back and forth of it.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on the dialogue portion of the scene. I just really like while Arnold is struggling to determine whether or not this is real, just like the audience, he sees a bead of sweat going down the doctor's face and makes his decision in that moment and shoots him in the head. And then, the fight scene ensues. I just like that they trusted the audience enough to... The concept. And just, it is a simple thing, but they didn't need to hang a hat on it, as the term is. We understand, hey, sweating in a dream is kind of weird. So I just appreciate that aspect of it. This might be controversial, but I think the whole is it real or is it not real is overdone to such a degree that there's a third solution to the film. I don't know if we want to talk about that now or later, but this scene is one of the things that
why not? I mean, there's not. I mean, we could just talk about favorite scenes, but I don't really want to do that. I mean, I like all the action set pieces. I love the one-liners. I've already talked about them. I feel like the Quaid Melina romance is fine. It's not very deep. It's very superficial. It's your standard action fling romance. It's not meant to take more than it is. And I like the character of I essentially like the character of Doug Quaid, where I'll put it like this. I like the idea of who is the real personality. That's the last thing before we talk about the ending and we go into the question. Let's talk about that. Like I said, if we're going to talk about the good things of this movie that do make it stand out as an action movie, the concepts, the idea of which is the real personality, the implanted one or the one that was there first. Each one has memories, each one has feelings, each one has dreams and desires. And is it right that Doug Quaid replaces Hauser? Because Hauser,
who has ownership of the body,
yeah. He had he was there first, but he's not a good man. He's a bad man. With that line from Cohagen, in about 5 minutes, you're not going to care about those people. And it's an interesting concept that in a more dramatic movie, I think they could lean into it more, because there's no time in this movie to do that. There isn't time, nor it is the movie to really do that. I mean, did you ever watch Show Blind Spot on NBC a few years ago?
I haven't, no.
It didn't involve memory replacement, but it involved erasing memories, where you took a particular drug and it erased all your memories. But the main character, Jane Doe, had originally had a real personality, not her blank slate. And as the seasons go on, that personality eventually emerges, and she has to go to war with herself to decide who's the real person, Jane or Remy. And at one point, there's a very integral scene of mental warfare where they're both basically battling for control of the body, and eventually they merge to be a single conscience. Like the Remy, who was the anarchist, the rebel, the revolutionary, merges with Jane, who ended up turning to law and order and fighting the good fight and not being destructive or chaotic or anarchical, and they merged to one. And that's the type of show. Of course, that show jumped the shark at the very end. Is it real or is it fake? At the very end, that's why I'll never rewatch it. The ending was like, not the whole thing, but just like the final moments of the show. Is it real or is it fake? We don't know, and I hated that. That's why I'll never watch it again. But there's an example of exploring two personalities. Who has the right to be there first, the original or the new one, who accumulates its own memories and experiences, this and that. So I really feel like the movie dips its toe in there just enough to make you question. And of course, it's going to make you root for Doug Quaid, who is the good guy, the protagonist, not an evil man who's going to kill a bunch of people who are just want freedom from oppression. So it's simple. So I do like that concept.
There's a lot of great concepts in this film that, just like you're saying, they dip their toes into these great ideas, and it's not the type of film to really delve into these, but it kind of gives me a conflicted feeling about this film. I want to really like it, really be invested in these concepts, but with how underdeveloped they are, I feel unfulfilled. So it gives me a conflicted reception to this film, because I want to see what you're talking about. There's a lot of narrative meat into determining whether or not the which is the real personality, who has rights to the body, and then you can get into more metaphysical stuff like his soul's involved, and there's the well overdone nature versus nurture argument. But you could have that argument of, well, it's clear that there's not a nature underlying this body. So are we all just the sum of our nurturing? And his implanted nurturing makes him a whole different person. There's so much narrative meat to just that concept, but it goes nowhere. There's so much narrative meat to Total Recall as a concept, the company, but they spend the whole time just saying, hey, is the movie real or not? And that's as deep as it goes, that I just feel unfulfilled. Like, well, some guy with a cork board put up some great ideas, and then someone else just tried to.
Well, it's based on a book. It's based on a book, and it's totally different from the book. The remake is a little more closer to the book, I'm told. But point is, I see what you're saying, and my only counter is that the movie knows exactly what it is, and it doesn't try to be anything more.
It's true.
We are an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie. We're gonna, as we said, dip our toe into these concepts, but we're not gonna dwell on them, because you're here to see Arnold kick ass, take names, and say one-liners. That's what we're here for. And I appreciate that. That's why I'm never bored with this movie. I enjoy it. I like the concepts, but I'm happy with it just being surface level, because I'm here for an action movie. I'm here for repetitive music that at sometimes feels like it's trying to replicate Conan music at points, the Conan soundtrack. And I'm here for that. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to think hard. I'm here to be intrigued by the concepts, but not think hard. So
no, I understand my interpretation or enjoyment of it is unique. So though it's 100% subjective things, I agree. It is what it's meant to be. It's an Arnold fun, turn your brain off action movie, and it does accomplish that. Just from a subjective standpoint, I can't get fully invested in it. So I won't take away points for that. But yeah, that's subjectively, it's just kind of a meh film for me, because I can't get over that hump to really care about what's going on.
I mean, I saw this movie when I was essentially 10 years old. That's when I saw this movie. And
the three-breasted woman changed your life.
Not really, because I didn't buy it. Even in my prepubescent stage, as much as I realized I liked boobies, even at that young age, that never moved it for me. I mean, I went and saw this in the theater because my mom said, "Okay, fine, you can go see this." Because there was the rule in my house: you can go see all these R-rated movies as long as the language doesn't get spoken out in public. If I hear one word from a teacher or a parent that you said "fuck," "shit," all these things, the deal is off. and you'll have to wait till you're a teenager and you're old enough. So I played by those rules, and I got to see all the R-rated movies I wanted. So I saw this when it came out in theaters, and I loved every second of it. My little boy brain was like, "This is great! It's just action all over the place." I mean, I'd already seen Predator and all these things at this point, so I was initiated into Arnold action movies already at a young age. But it is what it is. And then you get to the conclusion, the fight at the reactor. He turns it on with the whole alien hand and the thing. I mean, you can't see my angle. I'm trying to.
Well, I don't know if you thought about this, but I could not think about Donna from the end of season 4 of Doctor Who, where she's on the Centauran ship, or in the middle of that season, excuse me. She's on the Centauran ship, and it's like, there's a door, and there's a keypad to open it, but it's got 3 fingers. And the Doctor's just like, you have 3 fingers? Oh, right. And then she does that.
Actually, no, I didn't think about that at all. I was
thinking about that the whole time.
Every
would
time
think
I
saw that platform, I was like, Donna has 3 fingers.
You would think about that. You would. And you totally would. But yeah, and then they turn it on, and here's they should all be dead when they got sucked out.
Their eyes are bulging out of their head. I don't know if you know
the blast of oxygen is not going to reset that kind of facial damage.
There's physical damage. Yeah, their faces are swelling.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know how it works in space, but at lower pressures, liquids boil at different temperatures.
Yeah.
Like even in the cold of space, water will boil off, right? Their blood is literally starting to boil in their bodies. That's not something you come back from.
Yeah. That, as much as I love this movie, my entire life, I do not buy the final scene where they're all choking and dying and this and that. I don't buy it. The blast of oxygen is not going to reverse any of that, but it does magically. And then it's the happy ending.
And it changes the color of the dirt.
Yeah, and then the sky is suddenly blue. Well, okay, the sky is blue because it reflects off the water of the planet. That's how it works. There's no water on Mars. The sky shouldn't be blue. I think it wasn't either way. It shouldn't work like that. But they really kind of sped it up there just to, okay, let's wrap it up. The happy ending, is it a dream? I don't know. You better kiss me before you wake up, and then boom. So there it is. I mean, here we go to the question now. Is it real or is it fake? And it is left up to the audience to decide. There's no definitive answer. At least I've never heard anybody give a definitive answer. Is it real or is it fake? I want to believe it was real.
I do need to cut in. It's not because of water, by the way.
No, it isn't.
It's just how light scatters in our atmosphere.
I thought it was refraction.
It's refraction through the atmosphere, but not reflecting blue water.
I thought it was refraction.
But you're right. Their atmosphere would magically turn blue.
Yeah. I don't know science. I got terrible grades. That's what they told us when I was a kid. All right.
Really?
That's what that memory code.
There's a lot of stuff that's been updated since.
They told me that as a kid. Shut up. You just slipped that in, you son of a bitch. No, they told us some dumb shit when I was a kid, okay? And it stuck. And I never either updated
like the whole blood is blue inside your body.
Yeah, they told us that once too. They did.
I remember hearing that in school, and yeah, it's not true.
Anyway, so is it real or is it fake? I want to believe it was real just for the adventure's sake of it. Otherwise, I hate the thought of things being not real and having spent my time in investing it in a dream. I never liked that idea. So I want to believe it is real because I feel like the evidence early on that there's concern before going to recall, they're all behaving a little oddly before he goes to recall. Yes, there's a lot of evidence that all the things mentioned before recall plays out. But I feel as though the fact that we shift so many points of view in the movie, like if it was just Arnold's perspective, Doug's perspective the whole time, I'm like, okay, maybe it is a dream, but we get Cohagen's perspective. We get Richter's perspective. We get multiple perspectives. We see things going on where he isn't there at the time. And if you're not there for the dream to build around you, then I want to say it's real. So how do you, first of all, I think you already made your point clear. You're okay with the is it real, is it fake thing up to a point, and then it's just, can we stop and just move on? You made that clear early on.
Yeah, I think they got obsessed with the idea of it being ambiguous. That I doubt the filmmakers know which one is real. I know which one they want to be portrayed as real. I think the film is trying to tell you that it is all real. I think that is the opinion of the film, especially with that scene with the bead of sweat and the ending and all that. But they threw so much random red herrings at the wall, so much shit at the wall that the film cannot have a conclusion because there's all that stuff before the dream happens that you mentioned. There's the dream he has at the beginning, which can't have been a real memory. That
Yeah.
opening scene where he dies on Mars, that's
Yeah.
not a real memory. So what is that? Is that feeding into the dream? And in Total Recall, when he's actually in Total Recall, they put up a picture of
the
Mel.
device.
No, of the device,
Melina.
but of
Yeah, yeah.
Melina. They
Yeah.
show her face on the computer screen. Like, oh, he's gonna love her.
Yeah.
And I think it's so contradictory that there is no real answer, and there cannot be an answer
Yeah.
that doesn't have contradiction. So I think they got too obsessed with the idea of ambiguity and
I
kept
agree.
throwing in red herrings to a point where it degrades the quality of the question. Because it's an interesting idea: is something real or not? But you have to have a goal or a real solution, or at least not be constantly contradicting yourself to such a degree that neither option can exist. This isn't an Inception situation where whether or not that top falls at the end, it doesn't really change the meat of the story. It changes the ending of whether or not those are his real kids or not, but it doesn't change the meat of the story, and either solution fits with the events that we've seen up to this point. This either option causes a problem. So I think that there is no real answer, but I think the movie wants you to think everything is real.
I agree. You made I could not have stated that any more clearly. There are so many contradictions back and forth. There's so many evidence that thinks, oh, all these things get mentioned as they play out. You saw the doctor, the idea of Benny, the Melina, the picture of the machine on the screen right before he passes out. It's all right there. The thoughts, you're going to save the world, get the girl. It's all there. But as I said, it's all the evidence to, again, push back. Everything's circumstantial is the problem. It's all circumstantial.
There's no meat to any of the questions or any of the evidence.
It really is up to the audience. And I agree. I think the movie wants you to think it's real. That's why I want to think it's real. I want to believe it's real. And that's why I continue to enjoy it every time I watch it. This is a movie I watch probably at least once a year. I do watch it once a year, and this was my once a year for it. So, I think the idea of the question is enough of, once again, back to the terms of the concepts. It's enough of an idea, the concept. I appreciate they tackled it, but it gets sloppy towards the end, which does remove points, and also combined with that ending. It's just, even as a 10-year-old, I didn't buy it. Didn't buy it as a kid. Like, that doesn't make any sense. How does oxygen just reverse that kind of damage? So I really do enjoy this movie. Despite the fact that I'm being critical here at the end of our discussion, I always enjoy this movie. It is, as I said, it knows exactly what it is. It's a pure Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie. A lot of ass kicking, great one-liners, and it delivers. I mean, this movie, like you said, to go to even beyond that to a separate section, as you talked about at the beginning of the stream, it was a benchmark for special effects. It was a benchmark. Everybody still hails it as a special effects masterpiece, from makeup to practical effects to everything. And I would say, as far as action movies go, the performances are all solid. Everybody does their job. Nobody feels miscast. Everybody knows exactly who they are, what they're doing. Every character feels realized, and they're all enjoyable. They're all enjoyable. And I enjoy it. I just enjoy this movie. Total subjectivity. It's fun every time. It's a ride, and it's what action movies used to be. It's a ride. You get on, you go through it, and you have fun. And they have lost that recipe today. Very few people know how to actually implement that recipe. So those were my final thoughts. What are your final thoughts?
Well, before I get to the actual final thoughts, when we were talking about the question of whether or not things are real, I gave the answer of what I think is the truth and what I think the filmmakers wanted the truth to be.
You want to give your answer? Okay.
I have strong opinions about the answer to this question. If the answer to the question is everything is a dream and that it was like a dream the entire film or just from when he went to recall, because I think either option could work, is it being just a massive psychotic break or not, makes me just not invested in the film. Just kind of like, yeah, that was whatever. Kind of what you're saying. It's hard to get invested in a dream unless you do some great work with it, like certain video games that have come out recently. I don't want to spoil.
I knew you were
anything
going to go there. I
but
could feel. I know where he's going with that.
That is just a perfect example of how to get invested in a reality that isn't real by making it so personal to real people. And The Matrix is also another example of how you balance that really well. But if it is all real, that none of this was a dream, that he actually was Dozer before everything or whatever, I can't stand the ending. Oh my God, I would, if that's the answer, I can't watch this movie again. That's just what it is for me. I'm going to have to pretend it's all a dream, because if it's all a dream, a lot of the issues of the film can be explained away. It's kind of a cheap trick, but it's, oh yeah, if it's dream, continuity doesn't really need to make sense. Plot consistency doesn't really need to make sense. It's going to be a little warbled because it's not real. You have an excuse for that. And then you also have an excuse for aliens being tacked on at the end. I think this movie is infinitely better if you cut out the aliens and it's just the guy on Mars controlling this resource to fund a war, and he wants to find out who the rebels are, so he has Dozer do all that. The movie still works 100% the same way. Just cut out the fucking reactor at the end, the ancient aliens at the end, the terraforming Mars in 10 seconds. Putting water in the atmosphere isn't going to solve any problems. It's going to, increase a slight greenhouse effect. Well, not with oxygen, but some of the other, like carbon dioxide is probably involved in that as well. But you're going to thicken up the atmosphere, and then it's going to be stripped away by the next solar wind. You haven't fixed the problem of density in the atmosphere. You haven't fixed the problem of temperature. You haven't fixed the problem of the magnetic sphere. It's just too easy, hand-wavy solution that isn't necessary. The movie works without aliens. Don't include the fucking aliens.
Honestly, that kind of is maybe the biggest evidence that it is a dream, that it isn't real, because none of that makes. I mean, I said it before you went on that total Jed rant right there, because that was a Jed. That's what we call a Jed rant right there. It doesn't make sense. The whole alien reactor, its final moment, and as I said, it hasn't made sense to me for 30 years.
Just
it hasn't made sense to me for 30 years.
And suddenly introducing, it's going to blow up our special metal that we get here if you do it. So I actually care about everyone dying, including myself. I think that muddies his character and is just introduced out of left field. Just simplify the plot. Warlord on Mars wants to keep control. Rebels make it difficult. Sends his best man undercover to find the rebel leader. That plot all works. Why did we need to tack this on in the last 10 minutes? I mean, there's references to it earlier, but it doesn't have any substantive impact on the plot until the last few minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just tacked
like
on.
You said, that you've just, I think, made the strongest argument I've ever heard to it being a dream. You've made the strongest argument ever for that, I think, that I've ever heard, and when I've had these discussions.
Yeah,
and it makes you think. I still kind of want it to be
think
real.
The whole movie's I want it to be real for the investment factor, and I think I would really like this movie and like that interpretation if the aliens were cut out. That's my make or break in this movie. Is if the aliens are real, I can't stand this movie. If the aliens were taken out and everything was real, I'd be fine. If it's all a dream, whatever. But I think the best interpretation of this film is that all of it was a dream, beginning to end. And we just never got the end credit scene of Arnold in his mansion in LA waking up from the Total Recall dream. Just the whole thing was a dream. I think that's the most sound explanation.
If it is a dream, I think it starts at Recall. I think that's where the movie splits, where he goes to Recall and he's passing out. And that's where it splits, and that's where it does begin. So, whole question. But, people are going to have this discussion forever with this movie. And you made some really great points that no one had ever made. Because I've never heard anybody see. As I said, I don't like the way the whole machine works, but I've never heard anybody be so disgusted as you were.
He said the core of the planet was ice, and that they're superheating magic metal to touch the ice, and then the steam's going to terraform the planet in the time it takes for someone to die on the surface.
I know.
And it's gonna blow out all the windows, and the science in this movie just wasn't right. I mean, it was the 80s. It was kind of what you'd expect, and I was ready to forgive it for the majority of the movie until that ending with the aliens. Like Mars, it does have a vacuum effect. So like if you broke a window on Mars, there would be a sucking effect. But what was portrayed in the film is way more on par with outer space. It's not going to be quite as powerful, but yeah, it's not a very scientifically sound movie.
No,
And
of course,
no.
The
moons bother me. I know that I can't put the moons as an actual critique of the movie, like in my objective criticism, but the moons bother me. Yes, Mars has 2 moons, but they're tiny. And the smaller one, you're not going to really be able to see as more than what we see as satellites. And like it's barely reflective most of the time. It's not too perfectly next to each other moon versions of the twin Tatooine suns. It's not the moon version of that. But I know that's just that's a me thing. I can't blame the movie for that one.
If anything, I'm happy we got a very powerful Jed rant out of this. Anyway, so
I was waiting the whole time for that because I raged when the movie finished.
It's fine. I'm okay. Listen, I'm okay with it. Listen, I love that you give these perspectives on these movies that I hold so dear from my childhood, and you attempt to crush them and leave me never wanting to watch them again, but I still will.
Yeah, I'm not endeavoring to ruin anybody's experience. Like I said, this is a fun movie. I'm just not a very adept person at turning my brain off to enjoy movies. That's something that I do admit that's my fault. That is my failing. It's not the movie's fault.
The robot can't turn off the brain. It's hard. Anyway, but of everything that Jed said, I don't disagree with what he said, but I still love this movie. I give my final thoughts. This is a pure Arnold action movie, and that's exactly what it knows it is, and I love it every time, and I give it a very solid 8 out of 10. Go ahead.
All right. So, like I said,
make the chat cry.
The solution to the film, the answer of whether or not it's all real, actually affects my score greatly. If it were all a dream, I'd give this an okay, like 6 out of 10, and just be like, all right, I didn't have strong opinions on it, whatever. If it was all real, I'd give it like a 4. So I'm gonna split the difference and say, because of the ambiguity, I'm gonna give this film a 5.5 out of 10. The action's a lot of fun, but if you think about it, like I unfortunately have to, it starts to fall apart in a lot of areas, but it delivers as an Arnold movie, as an action movie of the 80s, 90s era. It's really fun to watch, and the practical effects are just top notch. I think a lot of them hold up. There's a couple Arnold faces, like we talked about, that you can absolutely tell that head was a fake Arnold head.
Yeah.
But besides that, I have no issues suspending my disbelief and being fully invested in the practical effects. They're the best part of the film, in my opinion.
And as usual, chat unhappy, but that's normal. It's normal. We're used to it now. Anyway, all right. Thank you, everybody. Jed, we're starting October, and we're gonna go horror, spooky movies because we try to theme it up a little bit. And tell us what you got for next week.
Yes, so we're starting spooky season, and there's a film that I've been told most of my life that I need to watch. It's a classic horror film that I've never seen, but I know Adam loves it, and everyone I talk to says it's a great film and a great ride. So we're going to be checking out the Kurt Russell version of The Thing.
The Thing. Yes, we have done it on a preview version of this show, but I'm very happy to talk about it because it is you want to talk about body horror. You thought the body horror in this, The Thing says, hold my beer. And the body horror of The Thing, that's practical. That's another, we're talking mid-80s practical effects, special effects, makeup, glorious. I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to enjoy it. And there's always much to talk about. But I will save certain commentary for when we reach the end of our discussion of it next week. So, and yes, Lagos pointed out it's John Carpenter's The Thing. Because remember, John Carpenter can either be great or he can be bad. He goes both ways.
Now, I know there's 2 of these The Things. Is this the original or the remake?
This is the original. This is
the original. Okay.
This is 1985, The Thing. I think it was 85, 84 or 85, something like that. This is John Carpenter's The Thing. This is Kurt Russell. And it's good. It's good. Anyway, all right.
We're gonna have a great time.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Oh, it's gonna be a great discussion. It'll be a fantastic discussion. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. You can show your appreciation with like buttons, comments, subscriptions to the channel. We appreciate those things and spreading the good word. We will see you guys next week for another edition of Saturday Night Drive-In. So until then, take it easy, everybody.